The end of 1997 will see the end of an era and a fond farewell to one of our greatest champions. After 3 decades in motorsport, 9 times Bathurst King Peter Brock will hang up his helmet. He'll be missed, but fittingly, the 52-year-old's final drive will be on the sacred track that gave birth to the Brock legend, Bathurst, and the Australian 1000 Classic on October 19. Network 10 wishes Brocky all the best. Fortunately, Peter Perfect's legendary sparring partner, Dick Johnson, has no plans to pull on the cardigan and slippers. 3 weeks ago at Eastern Creek, the Queenslander proved he's far from a spent horse, chasing home fellow Ford guns Glenn Seaton and John Bowe for a fighting third place on an all-Ford podium. Today, back on home turf, Johnson's newfound pace could play a key role in the outcome of this year's thrilling championship battle as the V8 Supercars head north to Brisbane's high-speed Lakeside Raceway. Round 7 of the Shell Australian Touring Car Championship War. Can points leader Seaton extend his lead, or will his pursuers, Ingall and Bowe, close the gap in this critical championship round? Buckle up, V8 fans. The big boys are ready to rumble.
Well, the championship has moved to Queensland, and as you'd expect, the weather is just beautiful. Hello, everyone. I'm Lee Dippy, and welcome to round 7 of this year's Shell Australian Touring Car Championship. A record crowd yesterday here at Saturday. It was just unbelievable, and the crowds have turned out in their droves once again for this round 7 here at Lakeside. And someone who's just battled his way through the crowd is Barry Sheen, our expert commentator. Barry, it's great to see so many people here.
Well, it is great to see so many people. I was here at 7 o'clock this morning, and the queue was about 5 kilometres down the road, and I parked my car way outside on the circuit. But it's fantastic, you know, because not only is it Peter Brock's last race here, but, you know, it's the 2 older guys of the sport that's dragged everybody in. You know, all the local people have come to see Dick Johnson, obviously. And it should be a fantastic day's racing. You know, the enthusiasm here, I mean, it's like a big carnival.
Well, speaking of Dick Johnson, his teammate has done very well in qualifying. Let's take a look at that. John Bowe, for the first time this year, is off pole position. Glenn Seaton. Alan Jones has done well. Dick Johnson and Tony Longhurst. You can see there 5 Falcons in the top 10, or in the top 5 positions, I should say. Then we go back to Brock, Mark Larkham, another good qualifying effort. Greg Murphy, Russell Engel and Larry Perkins, the 2 Castrol cars, having a few problems. But someone who's having no problems is John Bowe. Earlier on, he spoke with Mark Osler.
Brisbane's Lakeside Raceway is famous for 3 things. It's a very fast track, it's very hard on tyres, and it's also quite difficult to pass on, which makes pole position at this time in the championship very, very important. Well, the man who's taken the #1 position in qualifying, John Bowe, congratulations for your first pole for 1997. Considering how tough the competition is here, that must have been a special lap.
Well, it was, Mark. They're very hard to get. The competition is so close, as you say, and it's a reflection on the work the guys in the Shell Helix team have done. I mean, they really beat it away. We started the year behind the 8 ball, and we're catching up, so let's hope we can go on with it.
Well, the car's obviously working well in terms of overall speed, getting a fast lap in qualifying. How is it as a race package? Is it good enough now to take on Glenn Seaton fair and square?
Well, I mean, he is the form player, no doubt. He's had a very good year. I think he'll win the championship probably, but Dunlop have made us some very good tyres this year, and that's made quite a difference to us, so I think we can give it a shake.
Well, certainly hope you've taken your first pole position here this weekend. Let's hope you can take your first heat win as well. Best of luck.
Thanks, mate. So do I.
Well, the championship is still well and alive. Glenn Seaton still leads the way on 452 points. Engel and Bowe, those positions haven't changed. Larry Perkins got his points back from Sandown, where he was excluded, so he sits nicely in 4th, ahead of the king of the road, Peter Brock. We look 6th back through 10th. Wayne Gardner, who unfortunately isn't here today, he still is in 6th position. Murphy, Johnson, John Faulkner, the top privateer, sitting there in 9th, ahead of Tony Longhurst. Well, don't leave us, don't go away. It's going to be sensational racing here today at Lakeside. We've got 2 hours of great V8 Supercar action coming up right after this.
Because he's going the distance. He's going through speed. She's all alone in a time of need. Because he's racing and pacing and plotting the course. He's fighting and fighting and riding on his horse. He's racing and pacing and plotting the course. He's fighting and fighting and riding on his horse. It's going
Welcome back to Lakeside International Raceway here in sunny Queensland. The pictures you're looking at now, well, they just make you smile. There are so many people here today. It's just going to be an exciting round.
That's a massive crowd, Lee. I reckon it's got to be 25,000 people here, and if the old taxman ain't rubbing his hands by now, he never will be.
Well, they're in for a really good day's racing, and of course, I guess a lot of them have come to see the King of the Road. We go on board with the enforcer, Russell Ingall, and we take a look at how they line up for race 1 of 3 today. John Bowers off pole position, Glenn Seaton alongside, Alan Jones, he's happy about that, and Dick Johnson alongside him.
Third row of the grid is Tony Longhurst from Peter Brock, Mark Larkham and Greg Murphy on the 4th row.
That's a good effort by Mark Larkham also. Russell Ingall and Larry Perkins, they had some understeer problems. They're further back than where they'd like to be. John Faulkner's done well, and so too has Trevor Ashby. They share the 6th row.
Row 7 of the grid is Stephen Richards and Terry Finnegan. Row 8, Paul Romano, who unfortunately had a prang in the Privateers Cup and won't be racing, and Kevin Heffernan.
We go further back to row 9. John Trimble makes his return. The Queenslander Danny Osborne, young Darren Hossack and Ian Palmer off row 10.
Row 11, which is a long, long way back here, is Kieran Brewer and Mike Conway.
Well, Barry, let's have a look at this very interesting and always exciting Lakeside Raceway.
Well, that's not very long. It's only 2.41 kilometres. As you can see, it goes in the right-hand direction very, very fast. This circuit, believe it or not, is virtually as quick as Phillip Island. It's very, very hard on the left-hand rear tyres of the car and also on the left-hand fronts turning into corners.
Well, the grid there, very colourful. It's going to be exciting. We are missing Alan Jones. There he is in the pits.
That is such a shame, because Jonesy really had the race face on this.
Well, the word that we get from race control, he's got some front tyre problems and will unfortunately have to start from pit lane. Mark Osel, that's devastating.
Certainly he's had to come into the pits to get some new rubber. That means he starts from the back, but we get a green light. All forwards at the front. John Bowen gets trounced by Glenn Seaton off the line. The two Shell Fords will go side by side into the kink and down to the carousel for the first time.
Glenn Seaton, what an unbelievable start. They head into the carousel. Let's hope they get through here cleanly. Johnson is around the outside. We go on board with Russell Ingall. He is right up behind the Mitre 10 Falcon of Mark Larkham. He gets out of the carousel quite nicely, but you can see he's got a lot of cars in front of him. Someone is out in the dirt.
On the dirt.
Dunlop, onboard camera. You're riding with Russell Ingall, the enforcer, as he tries to push his way past Mark Larkham. Larkham very quick in qualifying, his best result so far in the Mitre 10 Ford, and he's really got his hands full here as Ingall applies the thumb screws on this first opening lap. Top 10 cars covered by 0.6 of a second. Can you believe it?
Well,
how tight and competitive it is at Lakeside today.
Problem is, on this circuit, the difficult thing is to get past, you know, because it's very, very quick. And by the time somebody gets their nose in, that person's closed the door. So you have a look here at the end of the straight into the right-hander. See, Seaton's got it covered, you know, right up the inside. And it's interesting to see the battle between John Bow and Dick Johnson. So obviously they don't want to sort of knock each other off, but it's a difficult situation when someone's trying to get past.
The Mobile HRT cars have got up there as we go on board with Dick Johnson in the Shell Helix Falcon. He's sitting in 3rd spot, looking for every opportunity to get past his teammate John Bow. The St. Brock and Murphy have come up. Tony Longhurst has dropped back. Oh, that's a Palmer and Larkham.
Oh, dear me.
Boy.
The Larkham bug strikes again.
How many black cats has he run over? I don't believe this guy. He's had his best qualifying performance. He's got tangled up with Palmer. Coming out of the carousel, you can see there's a lot of damage there. And we've got a red flag situation. They're stopping the race. They would have had no other choice. Tim Schenken-Clark, of course.
They got no choice there, Mark, because, I mean, there's no way anybody can get past. It's narrow enough as it is.
Here's the Shell Helix replay for you. It's coming out of the carousel, and there's Larkham.
Oh, Larkham lost it already.
Getting very sideways. Ingall does a good job to miss. Where's Faulkner going? He pulls it on the inside as well. Does he escape?
Oh, no, he does a little bit.
Now the Lansbauer car, he's trying to squeeze through. He may just clip the back. Yes, just to rub the paint. Now we've got
John Trimble coming through. Here's it from another angle.
Larkham, you can see he's spun around there. Car's trying to get through. Alan Jones managed.
Ow! T-bone.
Alan Jones managed to squeeze through, but Palmer had nowhere to go. Brakes locked up straight into the side of the Mitre 10 Ford. And Mark Larkham, can you believe it?
I can't, because I just have never known a person get so much bad luck. I mean, every incident, and it's no fault of Mark Larkham's, that, OK, he spun the thing, but to end up in this state, I mean, the guy... The guy must be devastated.
Well, after his best qualifying effort, that is very, very disappointing for the Mitre 10 Falcon driver Mark Larkham. So we've got a red flag situation here at Lakeside. We'll be back after this. That's your running order at the moment. Seaton leads the way from Bow Johnson. Greg Murphy's done well to get up there ahead of Peter Brock. Welcome back to Lakeside. There's Larkham spinning. We just caught a quick glimpse on the left-hand side of Ingle and Faulkner going through. And Larkham is just waiting there, I guess, for the inevitable. Ian Palmer comes through, and poor old Ian Palmer, he had nowhere to go and absolutely nails Mark Larkham. His run of bad luck is just unbelievable. Very much heated scenes in the pits. Look at them. It's Ingle and Larkham, and Larkham is very, very angry.
Yeah, and his last words were, "That's two I owe you." So
Yeah.
that sounds pretty ominous, doesn't it?
So perhaps more to it than what we actually got to see.
And don't forget that Russell Ingle was on a $2,500 good behaviour bond.
After Eastern Creek. So we'll try and get to the bottom of that one for you. Positions changing on the grid. We are back to original starting position. So it's an absolute blessing in disguise for Alan Jones. There is Russell Ingle. He apparently, the word we get through, has some clutch problems, and he will be starting in pit lane. Terry Finnegan is off as well.
Off. And also for Dick Johnson, after the melee happened, he came back up on the dummy grid and he had a rear puncture. So it's kind of lucky for Dick Johnson and for Alan Jones. Alan Jones will be more than pleased about this.
Terry Finnegan will be very disappointed because after his great round, we've got the restart. Here we go. This is John Bow's second chance, but Seaton once again gets away to a tremendous start. Then we go back to Bow. AJ sits in third. Dick Johnson, Peter Brock's got up there, Tony Longhurst, and look at Larry Perkins nudging his way through.
You got to say that Seaton has got it made when it comes to the starts. You know, even now, you know, quarter of a lap and he's pulling away.
Glenn Seaton, so he's done it. 2 from 2, got away to an excellent start. Here we are on board with Peter Brock. Going through underneath the Dunlop Bridge, 215, 220 kilometres an hour, down into Hungary. Sitting in behind Dick Johnson as they climb the hill. Alan Jones can't believe his luck at the moment, I would imagine. After starting from pit lane in the original start, he gets to go back and he's sitting up in third and sitting pretty at the moment.
Well, Jonesy has been so aggressive all the way through qualifying and practice. You know, I wouldn't be at all surprised to see Jonesy have a really look at sizing up John Bow there. It'd be a bit brave to get through on that fast left-hand kink.
Well, Jones was quickest in both non-qualifying sessions yesterday, grabbed third in official qualifying. He's happy. They've made a lot of improvements, and that's the disappointing thing about Mark Larkham, because they went back to Eastern Creek and did considerable testing and obviously got a lot of improvements from it.
Well, they had, you know, and the poor guy, your heart goes out to him, and as you saw, he wasn't very happy with Russell Ingle.
Well, Glenn Seaton, last time he won here at Lakeside, won a round here at Lakeside, was in 1995. Of course, Craig Lowndes got the clean sweep last year, 3 from 3.
Both the Commodores of Brock and Murphy have been suffering with the setup problems. Murphy was saying he just can't get the balance right on his car, and when we see how far back he is now, Murphy's in, what, 8th place and not making up a lot of ground.
Through the kink at around 250 kilometres per hour. Seaton, Bow, Jones, then back to Johnson, Brock, Longhurst. Larry Perkins has got up there ahead of Greg Murphy. So the Castrol Perkins car made some improvements overnight. Unfortunately, some bad luck for Russell Ingle with those clutch problems. So he's got a lot of work to do from rear of grid. Here's a replay of an earlier incident. This is the colour scan car by the looks of things. Danny Osborne spinning on the exit of the carousel rather, and straight on into the Armco.
That's exactly the same fashion and exactly the same place as Paul Romano ended up earlier on.
Back to it. Seaton leads the way from John Bow. It's a fairly even gap between top 3 and the top 4. Keep in mind of just how close it was in qualifying, 0.6 of a second separating the top 10. It's just unbelievable.
I'm really surprised the first 4 are as spread out as this, because when you see how hot it's been in qualifying, and are you surprised?
Well, yeah, absolutely. I'm just looking further back, though. There's a good battle going on between Longhurst, Perkins and Murphy, and John Faulkner's right behind them. There's your Shell race score. Through they come. There's Faulkner sitting in behind. They come down into Hungary one more time. Seaton is very happy with the car. he was saying yesterday, he said, if I can describe my car, it's a pretty boring old car. I never have to change it. I wouldn't think that's boring. No, that's pretty good.
Well, that's great. You know, that's a sign of a good car or a good motorbike, really. You take it to a racetrack and do good in it, put it back in the transporter and take it out of the next circuit. And if you don't have to change it very much, that shows you your basic thing you're working with is right. You know, the basic chassis setup, geometry setup, and watching Seaton's thing through the fast kink they've just come through in qualifying yesterday, his thing looked like it was on rails. It's going to be interesting here with the track temperature now. The temperature is crawling up and crawling up, and that surely has to play into the hands of the Bridgestones. But having said that, this is a new generation Dunlop tyre they're riding.
The top 5 cars in qualifying, all Falcons. And we look again at 5th position, and it's held down by Peter Brock. So he's come up 1 position better. There is the Windscreens O'Brien profile for Glenn Seaton, the Ford Credit Racing outfit. He was the champion in 93, second in 94-95. Sandown twice winner of that. Bathurst still eludes him. Australian 1000 on October 18-19. It could be his this year. There's his form this year. First at Sandown, first at Eastern Creek, 2/3 Symonds Plains and Winton. He's done very, very well so far. He's been so consistent as we see a bit of a battle going on between Dick and AJ.
Yeah, Dick is definitely giving AJ the hurry up. Right, this is on board with Dick Johnson. Oh,
the inside move. Johnson's got him.
That's a brave move there.
Fantastic racing move there by Dick Johnson on the inside of Alan Jones. And here comes Peter Brock as well. He's putting the acid onto AJ. Longhurst is there. Also Larry Perkins. This is great. So the view from the front of Peter Brock's mobile HRT Commodore, whether Alan Jones is experiencing some problems because he was able to hold Dick out. Now you can see Johnson's got quite a good buffer on him.
Yeah, I'm sure Jones has got some kind of problem because you don't start slowing up that much that early on. This is quick. That's a very fast left-hand king. We're on board with Peter Brock now. He was going through there earlier on in a practice, and somebody moved in on him, came out the pits and moved across on him, and he actually hit the curb with a near side front tyre, and it hit the curb so hard it actually cracked his windscreen. So luckily enough, it seems that he's got the thing sorted out now.
Alan Jones able to hold him at bay, but have a look at Tony Longhurst. It's great to see Tony up so high in the Castrol Falcon. It was his best qualifying effort this year and for quite some time when he qualified the car in 5th position. But Larry Perkins in the Castrol Commodore is all over the back of him, and so too is Greg Murphy on Perkins. Sweeping round the right-hander onto the main straight. It's still Seaton, Bow, Johnson. Then we have a look at this battle here between Jones and Brock. Tony Longhurst, he said, don't discount me today. He said, I'm feeling good. I love it here at Lakeside, and the tyres are working very well. 230 kilometres per hour. That was Peter Brock's speed on the laser radar.
Murphy's got the look of impatience there. He's getting a little bit fed up with sitting behind Larry Perkins.
We've got a good little freight train forming. There's the quick shot underneath the Dunlop Bridge when they hit about 220, 225 kilometres per hour underneath there. A very fast section of the circuit. But it's Jones in the Komatsu Falcon that's holding Brock at bay at the moment. How much longer will this go on?
You just have a look coming into this. Look how hard it is on the front and the rear left-hand tyre. It's very, very quick and downhill that corner, and all the inertia, all the weight is on the front of the car. So in the latter stages of the race, when we start getting round sort of 15, 16 laps, you can see a lot of people in a lot of tyre problems.
Well, Glenn Seaton's still the quickest man on the track with a 51.6. Greg Murphy's also putting in some good time, so perhaps they've overcome the problems they were experiencing yesterday with balance and setup. Murphy is closing the gap on the back of Perkins, but have a look at Longhurst and Brock. That's a great battle. Through underneath the Dunlop Bridge again.
It's great for Longhurst because Longhurst is one of the only top Yokohama runners here, so he has no sort of feedback from the other guys, and you know, he's doing a really good job. You know, obviously the Yokohama isn't that bad a tyre. Otherwise, if it was, he couldn't be up there.
Faulkner, top privateer, sitting there in 10th position. There's Ingle working his way through the best that he can. He's further back in 11th position. Tony Longhurst is in the top 10 in terms of the championship. Back on 168 points. He's in fact behind John Faulkner. In the cockpit now with Peter Brock.
Oh,
Alan Jones blocks it up.
AJ.
He's drifted very wide on the carousel there. Brock is all over the back of him. They come out. This is a very fast and exciting section of Lakeside Circuit. We'll have a look what Peter Brock can do on the entry into Hungry Corner coming up in a matter of seconds. That's how quickly they'll get there. Here's the Windscreens O'Brien view for you from Peter Brock's mobile HRT Commodore.
To me, it looks like Jones's entire problem, Joe. If you just watch the action of the car, and it seems to be wallowing. Looks like the tyres are getting hot.
Once they come down off the eastern loop, it gave you a good look of just how far out in front Seaton, Bow and Johnson are. They're just streaking away from these guys running in the middle of the pack. Here we go, another shot. Look at Brock work hard. This is the last time we'll see the king of the road at Lakeside. And let's hope he gets a good 3 results today. 234 down the main straight through the king. So it was quicker, 4 kilometres an hour quicker than last time. Pretty sure that's the speed coming into the carousel as we go to our high shot through underneath the Dunlop Bridge. The distances between those 5 remain about the same, so Jones is doing a great job to hold Brock off.
Yeah, in the meantime, Seaton seems to be, well, not taking it easy, if you like, but he's running.
Here he goes.
Oh,
he's got him. Brock on the inside of the Komatsu Falcon, so Peter Brock moves up 1 position better. He now is in 4th position, and look at the guys at the back. Murphy's come right up on the inside. He's got Longhurst.
Longhurst.
Oh, that's a very fast section of the circuit for that to be happening. Longhurst, what a great job to hang on to it. Through the carousel. How about that, Baz?
I reckon that would have wound up Tony Longhurst's heart rate, because as you say, to go through there, I mean, a little touch somewhere is not so bad.
He's got
Longhurst with AJ.
Thought he had the inside run. Well, it's all about to happen here at Lakeside. Have a look at this. Jones, Longhurst, Murphy, and Stevie Richards is in there as well.
Jones is, look, that ain't Alan Jones. There's obviously a major problem with Jones.
Stephen Richards just went past 2 of them like they were standing still. He was the big winner out of that in the Valvoline Cummins Commodore. Now he's right on Murphy's tail. That's tremendous driving by Richards.
Richards is sensational.
Stevie Richards, he qualified back in 13th position. He's now running up with the front runners, or the midfielders, I guess you could say. He's right on Murphy, and Murphy's giving Longhurst a good working over.
Yeah, it'd be great to know what's wrong with AJ, because it has to be a tyre problem.
We go further back. I just got a quick glimpse of John Faulkner and Russell Ingall. So this isn't over yet, this battle for the minor placings. It's just going to get hotter. Jones has just gone backwards at a great rate of knots. That would be very frustrating for Alan. We keep our eyes on Tony Longhurst having his race of the year. Stephen Richards was electrifying 1 lap ago through Hungry Corner. He just went past Larry and Alan Jones in the 1 foul swoop. Now he's got Larry Perkins back on his tail. So 5 laps to run. It was reduced because of the stoppage with Mark Larkham, so a little bit shorter. See what Larry Perkins can do here with Stephen Richards, and likewise Murphy with Longhurst.
Oh, it's getting good. Look at Larry go just about right up the back of Stephen Richards.
The battle for 7th and 8th here. We go. This is the shot from the rear of Russell Ingall's Castrol Commodore. Managed to work his way past the better electrical entry of John Faulkner. This is the view coming through Hungry Corner. Faulkner, whether he can come back on Russell, he's been doing a very good job working his way up from rear of grid due to that clutch problem. And Perkins has got Richards on the inside. Entry onto the main straight. Perkins now moves up 1 higher. We'll see how Longhurst can go here. He's got 4 laps left to hold out Greg Murphy. Through the carousel they go. Well, we'll see what Greg can do. Tony Longhurst in the last 10 years has won 3 rounds here. He has done a tremendous job. He likes Lakeside Raceway, and he's obviously very efficient and effective here. Down into Hungary. He's pulled out just ever so slightly over Murphy. Still Glenn Seaton. We won't forget about our front runners. It's Seaton, Bow, Johnson and Brock. They're still your top 4. This is where the action's been happening. The midfield battle for 5th, 6th, 7th. We've got 3 laps left to run. quick glimpse there of Karen Brewer, our female driver. She is the 10th driver to compete in the Australian Touring Car Championship. It's been 16 years since we've had a female race. Last was back in 1981. As we have a look at our race leader, Glenn Seaton, in the Ford Credit Falcon. His domination of the 1997 Shell Australian Touring Car Championship, Barry, just keeps on going on.
Well, it does. You know, when you look at his setup, you know, it's not a mammoth setup at all. And exactly as you say, yesterday I was in there, and there's just a bunch of guys with not too much work to do. You know, the car is performing really well, and all they were doing was basically checking everything out and looking after it. No major changes. 2 laps to run now.
He's looking good, John Bowe.
John Bowe is looking good at the moment.
He is
lapping quicker than Seaton.
He's going very well, so coming on strong. I know that he was still suffering from a slight understeer problem, but it's obviously been better this round than what it has in rounds gone by. We've just got a quick shot there of John Triple in the Bottle Magic entry. He's just up ahead of Seaton. Well, he'll be coming on to his rear bumper very, very shortly.
Well, this could do John Bowe a couple of favours. Yeah, it's...
Speaking of favours, that clutch problem that...
Trimble got out of the way nicely.
Russell Ingall experienced did Glenn Seaton a lot of favours. Ingall's back in 8th, and he is the only real threat to Glenn Seaton's championship campaign. Seaton's got 1 lap to go before he starts today on a very high note in the Ford Credit Falcon. And we'll see what John Bowe can do, because he's bridging that gap ever so slightly. It was about 0.7 of a second last time. Now it's down to about 0.4 of a second, and here comes JB.
Boy, if he can get through there, you'd have to call him Houdini.
This is going to be a very interesting last lap, because he's caught right up to the back of Glenn Seaton. Bowe, who hasn't won around here at Lakeside in the last 10 years, and I don't think he's won one here at all. He's been Mr. Consistency this year. Hasn't had too many outstanding results, but he's just been plugging away and still sits in 3rd position. Time running out, though. They come up into the Eastern Loop for the last time. It's a battle of the Fords here at Lakeside. They've been very well represented. Coming onto the main straight, Seaton's going to have enough to hold John Bowe out. It's going to be a Ford Credit victory. Yet again, John Bowe pulls out of the slipstream, though, to give him everything he's got, but Seaton hangs on for the win ahead of John Bowe. A great finish there for both Ford drivers. Dick Johnson, by the looks of things, has hung on to get 3rd place. We congratulate, there's the 2 Castrol Commodores coming home, and Ingall, in fact, beating Perkins home. But there is your victor for race 1. He has done a tremendous job. John Faulkner was top privateer for that, so he had a good run also. But that means that Seaton has won the last 4 races in a row. Here is the Shell Helix race score for you. Glenn Seaton, John Bowe, Dick Johnson, he'll be happy with that. Peter Brock in for 4th, and Tony Longhurst finished from where he started.
Yeah, Greg Murphy in 6th place, Russell Ingall up in 7th, Larry Perkins in 8th, Stephen Richards, great drive from him in 9th, and John Faulkner.
Well, stick around. It was absolute mayhem in race 1. We'll see what race 2's got in store for us after this break. Welcome back to Lakeside. Well, once again, congratulations to Glenn Seaton. That's 4 on the trot he's won, and a good race also to John Bowe. Just before the break, our own Mark Osler caught up with Mark Larkham.
Well, after that incident, I'm standing with a very disappointed Mark Larkham. That's obvious. You're shattered. We saw you down in the pitch talking to Russell. What's your view of the situation?
Oh, well, I mean, I think it's fairly obvious. We were going quite well, and Russell up into the carousel has turned me around at the exit of the carousel. I mean, there's the red and green Castrol paint I can see on the car there. I mean, it was just so disappointing. I mean, we were looking for a good result here today, and I'm just, you know, I'm just not going to continue to put up with this, you know, and I've been up to see the stewards, and I'll be looking for some action. I mean, we've got a bent motor vehicle.
A lot of damage to the Mitre 10 Ford. What are you going to do? Have you protested to the stewards, or what action are you going to take?
Well, we're just waiting for Tim Schenken to finish with controlling this race here, and oh yeah, we'll be protesting. I mean, that's just, I mean, that's dangerous stuff, you know, and it's cost us a result here this weekend.
Well, I'm getting a little bit tired of saying it, Mark Larkham, but bad luck.
Thanks, Malcolm.
Well, okay, we continue on. It's very, very sad to see that for Mark Larkham. So we'll have a look at how they line up now for the Formula Fords, and Marcus Ambrose, he's grabbed his 4th pole position this year ahead of Craig Zerner. and Garth Tander back on row 2. That's the first time that someone has split up an Ambrose Tander front row, and Todd Kelly joining him on the second row.
Christian Jones, son of Alan, starts out of row 3 with Aaron McNally. Good performance that from the Perth resident. Row 4, Damien White in the Aussie Spectrum and Justin Cotter in the McGill.
We go back to row 5, Greg Ritter and Adam Macro, two young guys doing a good job. Scott Barguana and Dougal McDougall, they share row 6.
Plenty of Formula Fords here. Philip Skyfleet, another Spectrum. Will Power in the Swift. Row 8 is Christelle in the Van Diemen and Ashley Cutchley in the Swift.
Well, it's going to be very interesting with the Formula Fords here at Lakeside. There's so many of them, as you can see. And the championship is getting very interesting because Ambrose has certainly jazzed things up after his clean sweep at Eastern Creek. He's applied a bit of pressure to Garth Tander, the young West Aussie, who now starts on row 2. And that's a new experience for him, Mark. It's the first time he started from there all year.
Yeah, it's been a real mix-up at Lakeside, hasn't it? The dynamic duo of Tander and Ambrose really dominating proceedings so far, and Zerner, even though he's third in the championship, has been largely ignored. But now back on home turf, there's a lot of testing, a lot of practice around here. Now we've got one of the cars in trouble. It's been pushed to the side of the grid.
It looked like perhaps Aaron McNally. Yeah, it was Aaron McNally in trouble. So you can see now he's throwing the steering wheel down. He is shattered because he was starting from grid position 6.
Talking to him before the race, he was looking forward to a very strong result here. Very good qualifying performance. He would be devastated. You can see him hitting the Armco wall there. Now they've got the green flag. We're just moments away from the start of the Ford Motorsport Slick 50 Australian Formula Ford Championship round from Lakeside. Watch the light as it goes green, and the field jumps away.
12 laps the distance. Here we go. Look at Ambrose off the line. He tries to block Zerner out right from the outset, and contact there between Marcus Ambrose and Craig Zerner. Garth Tander trying to get up, but Todd Kelly's done a tremendous job to nudge his way into third already. There's action. There's going to be action in this race for sure. A great start there by Craig Zerner. Ambrose also got away, and he leads the field out of the carousel for the first time.
29 cars, huge field of Formula Fords as they begin this roller coaster run through the back of the circuit under Dunlop Bridge. Marcus Ambrose in control with Zerner in second position. The top 16 cars covered by less than 1 second, just an indication of how competitive this open wheeler category is. There's one gone right off in the grass. Can't see from this angle, but he's gone right out there.
That's Damien White in the McDonald's entry. So whether there was a brake failure or something, he just missed Hungry Corner altogether. And boy, oh boy, that guy is a talented driver, but he's had some bad luck this season.
Big field sweeping back onto pit straight once again for the first time. Look at them weaving and darting all over the place. They're too wide there. Todd Kelly pushing through on the outside of Zerner. May have been contact there with the wheels. These guys are not afraid. Plenty of bravery for breakfast as they head down through the carousel once again. So Zerner now behind. It looks like Tander got through as well.
Yeah, Zerner's gone back to 4th position, and he runs very wide. So he's got a 2-point buffer in the championship in 3rd position over Kelly, who's just back in 4th position. But young Todd Kelly's on fire. And have a look at this pack here, fighting it out for the minor placings. Craig Zerner is in the head of that pack of 5 as Marcus Ambrose in the Leisure Inns Motels Formula Ford entry leads the way quite comfortably at the moment. Kelly will be trying to bridge that gap. Kelly's not so much of a threat to him. It's Tander who he needs to finish well ahead of and try and bridge that championship points gap even more.
Well, that Eastern Creek round 3 weeks ago was a very critical one for Marcus Ambrose. He hadn't actually beat Tander in those opening rounds, but then he got 2 from 2, and that really did break the deadlock. He's come onto pole position this weekend. He's very, very confident, but look at Ambrose on the attack, right up behind Todd Kelly, side by side as they break hard for the carousel. Kelly proving a tough customer to pass, and Christian Jones now has got in front of Zerner as well, so Zerner may have a problem.
Justin Cotter doing a good job in the middle of that bunch. Someone's gone out into the dust as we see Cotter stuck right in there behind Craig Zerner. Christian Jones doing well also. As we have a look at this pack, really finding it out. There's your Shell Helix race score for you. Ambrose, Kelly, Tander, we go back 6 through 10. Cotter, Ritter, McDougall, Cutchy and Macro. Plenty of young guys doing great things. Our race leader, he's only a 20-year-old from Launceston in Tasmania. Marcus Ambrose, 10 state karting championships under his belt. This is only his 2nd season in Formula Ford. He's looking to go all the way to the top.
Marcus Ambrose is the only driver under Brett Peters' 1990 lap record. It's been, oh, look how close they get through the sweeper. A little bit sideways, goodness me.
Justin Cotter and Greg Ritter there fighting it out. There's Greg in the Clipsal 36 entry. He comes up right now, right up on Craig Zerner. Craig will be a little bit disappointed because he's starting to go backwards. He is running his spare engine. He blew an engine yesterday during qualifying. So obviously that second engine not as good as his strong one, his first one.
Very critical here. He did a great run in qualifying to get onto the front row. And there's one off on the grass. That looked like Tander's car.
Did.
That may have been Garth Tander, our championship leader.
Oh, that's devastating. The Crest of Lions entry is out of it. Well, out of the top placings anyway, Mark.
Yeah, and as you say, this is a championship on the line here. Tander leading on 132 points. Our race leader, Ambrose, on 110, so he's well within striking distance. Zerner on 78. Todd Kelly there in the yellow car in second position. He's on 74, so the championship far from over, and Kelly's going to fight right to the wire. Look at him. We'll watch and see if he closes the gap to our race leader. He's very, very close at the moment, but the field breaking up into a number of separate battles. It's on for young and old right through the field.
Well, that now elevates young Christian Jones, AJ's 18-year-old son, up into third spot. He'll be pretty happy about that. Todd Kelly, speaking of young drivers, Todd's only 17 years of age. He's part of the Holden Young Lions group. You may even see him driving in the Australian 1000 Classic at Bathurst, October 18 and 19. There's the toddler, a great young driver. He's been testing the HRT cars, Holden Young Lions car, and they also got into Greg Murphy's car and did a few laps down at Phillip Island just recently. Team manager Jeff Gretsch is very happy with their performance.
So Christian Jones now moves up to third position. So the order: Ambrose, Kelly, Jones, Ritter, and I think
that's Cotter.
That's Cotter, yep.
Justin Cotter has gone. That's up in the eastern loop area of the circuit. So Justin will be disappointed with that, but this guy, he's got nothing to be disappointed about. He is changing the outlook of this championship. The Australian Formula Ford Slick 50 Ford Motorsport Australian Championship. Marcus Ambrose, the young Tassie. They call him the Tassie Tiger. He's got plenty of guts and plenty of ability. Sitting in second position in the championship by 22 points, but the man that he's been chasing exited the circuit a couple of laps ago and has dropped a lot of positions.
Well, you can only see the tremendous setup they got on this car. Harry Galloway, who was formerly involved with engineering the car of Mark Webber, very fast Yellow Pages car. He's certainly working on Ambrose's car now, and you can see how well that car's riding the bumps. Very well controlled over the rough stuff, and Lakeside is a notoriously bumpy circuit. Look at Kelly's car. Todd always likes to set his car up with a little bit of oversteer. He likes to drive it with the tail out, get the front pointing in early. Let's have a look at the Shell Helix replay.
This is an earlier incident. Someone just losing it through Hungary there. And goes off safely. It's backwards.
A lot of competitors spinning off at Hungary Corner. It must be a deceptive one. You come flying over the ridge here, under the Dunlop Bridge. The car's doing close to 200 kilometres an hour. You drop down into Hungary Corner, you're braking. The car's right on the limit and tends to catch a lot of drivers out.
There he is, the Leisure Inn Motels entry. Marcus Ambrose, part of the Gary Rogers Motorsport team. Boy, oh boy, they've got an impressive lineup. And this guy has got a big future in motorsport. He won both races the last round at Eastern Creek. He's got a handful of laps left to run in this one, and he'll continue that winning form. There's a good battle going back. Have a look at Christian Jones and the 36 machine of Greg Ritter. Ritter's got the outside on him, and he's got Christian around the outside through the kick. That's a bold move.
Well, there's no doubt about it. He's a man on the move, and he's just set a new lap record that's been held by Brett Peters for 7 years, set right back in 1990 in a Swift. Now, Ritter's come out and broken that lap record of 54.62, and you can see he's really on a charge. Just nailed Christian Jones on the brakes down into the carousel. He's up to third position, and he is absolutely flying.
Greg Ritter's fifth in the championship on 64 points. He's only 10 points arrears of Kelly, so he's never won a Formula Ford race. I think he's probably a little bit too far behind Marcus, but he's going so well in this one. He is 3 times Australian kart champion, so he's already got some pretty good credentials under his belt, and he's got the wood on young Christian Jones at the moment. We'll see whether Christian can mount a challenge and come back. He's got a good draft here. Will he pull out? Here comes Christian. The inside through the kick. Christian Jones, does he have enough? Oh, great Formula Ford action. Ritter hangs on to his third spot for the time being, though.
Ritter showed plenty of maturity there too, giving Christian enough racing room. You could see he was tucked down in that slipstream. He was going to shoot out and have a go, but he didn't squeeze in for room on the curve. Very, very quick part of the circuit through there. You don't want to do any wheel banging. And Ritter was smart enough to give him a little racing room, and the battle continues.
I guess you could say Greg's one of the older Formula 4 drivers. He's 24 years of age, hails from Melbourne in Victoria. He's going extremely well in this one.
It's a great run too from Christian Jones in the Aussie-built Spectrum 06. Chassis has proved very, very competitive. Certainly was last year in Jason Bargwanna's hands. We've got the new updated chassis for 1997, and it really is showing a lot of speed, particularly at Lakeside. 3 laps to go. See if Christian Jones can fight back from 4th position. He's having a great carve up with Ritter. It's Ambrose and Kelly in command.
We then go further back through the pack. Cutchy, McDougall, Macro. Tander is now back in there. He's just ahead of Zerner. He's trying to get through on Adam Macro. Around through the kick they go. Keep your eyes on the yellow car as someone gets all out of shape there. That was car number 11 by the looks of things that got a little bit out of shape. We're keeping our eyes on Garth Tander.
Ashley Cutchy in the black car. He just caught it as he came through there. There it is, the Swift. But look at this attack from Ambrose as they sweep through under the Dunlop Bridge once again. Picks up the McGill as he begins this charge back toward the front of the field. That spin off at Hungry Corner in the early laps has cost him dearly, but he's fighting back. Desperate to hang on to this championship lead.
Garth Tander, we made mention of it earlier on. He's got a 22-point buffer at the moment over Marcus Ambrose. The next round is at his home track at Barbagallo, and he's really looking forward to getting back on home soil. 2 laps left to run. We'll see how Garth Tander goes, whether he can hold off this bunch. Well, he's done extremely well to work his way back up into 5th. He won't be happy because he was in 2nd earlier on as Adam Macro gets a little out of shape coming through the kink. These guys do a tremendous job to hang on to these Formula Fords. They slip and slide all over the place.
I'll tell you what, they don't mind banging wheels. If these were sedans, they'd call them fender benders, but these guys don't worry about bashing wheels and tyres. They get stuck right into it, and they manage to keep on the racing line. Very, very competitive stuff. No shortage of bravery. A lot of the drivers are very young, and with their sights very much set on being world champions, so there's nothing to lose and everything to gain.
McDougall still staying with Garth Tander, the Australian importer of the French McGill chassis, going down off the eastern loop. He's doing a good job to stay with Tander. The Crest of Lions entry, have 1 lap left to run, and Marcus Ambrose will score his 3rd straight race win in a row. Have a look at this. There's some good battles going back. Adam Macro pulling out on the slipstream onto the dirt. He's got Zerner all over the back of him. This is fantastic Formula Ford racing.
Well, they never fail to turn it on, the Formula Fords. Without doubt, the premier open-wheeler category in Australia is so cutthroat and so competitive. Look at how close they are here. 16 cars covered by less than a second in qualifying, and they're producing that form in the race. Ambrose, meanwhile, continues to attack this Lakeside circuit. You can see him giving it everything. He's out in the front, but he's not going to back off. 2.2 seconds the lead over Todd Kelly. He's broken his challenge and looking toward the checkered flag.
Well, for any of our V8 Supercar teams that are looking for co-drivers for the Australian 1000, it wouldn't hurt to look amongst the ranks of the Formula Ford guys as Marcus Ambrose wins his 3rd straight race in the Formula Ford Championship. Well done to him. Todd Kelly, a good solid 2nd spot. That scrap for 3rd. Greg Ritter got there ahead of Christian Jones, and it looks like Garth Tander will hang on for that 5th position. So a tremendous Formula Ford race, and once again our congratulations go to Marcus Ambrose in the Leisure Inns Motels entry. He worked very, very hard. He was quickest in both non-qualifying sessions. There he is, the young Tassie Tiger, only 20 years of age, 10 times state car champion. Perhaps this could be his year to be Australian champion. Ambrose, Kelly, Ritter, Jones and Tander. Like we told you, we have a look 6 back through 10. McDougall, Ashley Cutchy, Adam Macro, Scott Bargwanna worked hard to get up there tonight, and Cameron Shearer in 10th.
Just a section of the huge crowd jam-packed into Lakeside Raceway, just out of Brisbane today. Beautiful sunny day, all in here to see the V8 Supercar action. Let's have a look at the lineup for the Privateers Cup. It's Danny Osborne, the Brisbane man, on pole position with Trevor Ashby alongside him. Row 2, Kevin Heffernan and Mike Conway.
We go back to row 3. Paul Romano was due to start in 5th position, but won't due to an earlier accident in an earlier practice session. Terry Finnegan, and the field goes on from there. We've got a start. The Lansvale Smash Repairs entry of Trevor Ashby gets away to a terrific start. Heffernan comes through in the Price Attack entry on the inside. They've got away quite nicely, and here comes Finnegan up the outside of Osborne.
Danny Osborne pulled pole position out of the hat yesterday. That's how they draw positions for the Privateers Cup. It's a pure lottery system, and Terry Finnegan trying to go around the outside of the colour scan Falcon, runs a little bit wide, gets his wheels out on the dust, but manages to pull it back online.
Well, that was perfect for young Darren Hossack in the Wins Commodore, because he's gone right up into 4th straight away. John Faulkner again, unfortunately, has drawn a very high grid position. He started way back in 9th, so he's got a lot of work to do to catch up, but it's all Trevor Ashby at the moment, up the front.
Trevor Ashby, the Lansvale Smash Repairs Commodore, coming up north from Sydney. A car prepared by Wayne Gardner Racing under a joint exercise they set up at the beginning of this year. Gardner not here this weekend, but that hasn't affected the pace of the Lansvale Smash Repairs Commodores. He leads the field onto the pit straight for the first of 4 occasions, and the Price Attack Commodore. Heffernan right up behind. Look at him, he gets way offline. He's out in the dust. Goodness me. Hope the others can avoid him. He brings it back onto the blacktop, has the wheels locked up.
A lucky escape there for Kevin Heffernan, and he was able to just hang on to it. He rejoins the circuit, and luckily no one came in contact with him. A scary moment there for Heffernan. Have a look at Terry Finnegan up the inside of Darren Hossack through a very fast part of the track. Hossack's done well to hang on to it out wide, but Finnegan gets one position better.
That was a real attack from Finnegan. Very fast through there, over 200 kilometres an hour on these big V8s. We look out the back of the Sony Auto Sound Commodore. Darren Hossack ran side by side on that spine-tingling run under the Dunlop Bridge down toward Hungry Corner. Now Finnegan gets in front of the Wins Commodore, and he's opening up a little bit of a lead. We go on board with Terry Finnegan. You can see how hard he's working. Shifts up to 5th gear, up to 6th as he heads down toward the sweeper once again. And he's chasing this man, Trevor Ashby, in the Lansvale Smash Repairs Dulux Auto Colour Commodore. Beautifully turned out car. And he managed to get a good jump off the start. Left Danny Osborne standing, but Osborne now is fighting back. He got pushed back to 3rd. Well, one more left to go for Trevor Ashby, the experienced driver from Sydney. Shares the drive with his business partner, Steve Reed, and he's having a drive today and thoroughly enjoying himself out there.
Danny Osborne will be happy about sitting in 2nd, but have a look who's coming up in 3rd. Terry Finnegan has closed the gap between himself and Osborne. Time's running out. Terry's going to really have to do something special. With half a lap left to run, they go under the Dunlop Bridge down into Hungary. Still, although it looks like a relatively slow corner, they're still doing around about 120, 125 kilometres per hour through Hungary. And it's going to be Trevor Ashby's race. Finnegan still trying hard, back in 3rd, down off the eastern loop into the main straight, and well done to the Lansvale Smash Repairs entry of Trevor Ashby. That is his first Privateers Cup dash, win of the year. Well done to Trevor. Danny Osborne in for 2nd, and Terry Finnegan almost got there for 3rd.
He has a good strong run from Terry too. A bit further back on the grid than he would have liked, but that was the way the positions are drawn out of the hat, and did a good job, showed plenty of speed, continuing that fine form he showed at Eastern Creek just 3 weeks ago.
Well, it was an anxious moment for Kevin Heffernan earlier on in the Price Attack Commodore, but he got away with it fairly unscathed. Danny Osborne would have been having some interesting thoughts through that. Time to check the Shell Helix race score for you. Trevor Ashby in for the win from Danny Osborne. Terry Finnegan, Darren Hossack, a good 4th position, and John Faulkner rounding out the top 5. Well, stay with us on Network 10. Race 3 of the Shell Australian Touring Car Championship is up next.
Welcome back to Lakeside International Raceway for Heat 2 of the Shell Australian Touring Car Championship battle. Russell Ingall, we were just talking to Mark Larkham earlier. He seems to suggest in that incident that you punted him off the track. How did you see it?
They always say that, though, don't they? No, look, that carousel is a classic passing spot here at Lakeside. It's like a double apex corner, and you sort of go out wide for the second part, and you can always get a car in under there if you get a good run out of the first section, which I did. And he just turned right and came back down on me again, so he eventually put himself out, really. It was a bit unfair to say that I had anything to do with it. I mean, you've got to have a go. That's what we're here for. We're here to race. You know, if everyone's so concerned about all this, we're just going to be going around in single file. You've got to have a go, but the other guy has got to give you some room as well. That's all part of the deal. I mean, he's got to look in his mirrors. He obviously did look in his mirrors and just turned right down on me. So, I mean, it was only the slowest of touches, but that's the way it is.
Okay, Russell, thanks for your time.
Russell Ingall giving us his thoughts on that first corner incident. Don't forget, you only have one opportunity left to see Peter Brock on the mountain. That is the Australian 1000 Classic, Mount Panorama, October 18 and 19. As the cars get ready for race 2 here at Lakeside International Raceway, this is how they line up. Of course, remember, this is their finishing order from race 1. Glenn Seaton and John Bow, they share row 1. It was a very close finish. Dick Johnson and Peter Brock, the old sparring partners, they share the second row.
3rd row to grid is Tony Longhurst and Greg Murphy. 4th row to grid is Russell Ingall and Larry Perkins.
We go back row 5. Stephen Richards had a tremendous first race. John Faulkner The best of the privateers. Row 6 is Trevor Ashby and Darren Hossack. That's a really good result for young Darren.
Row 7 is Kevin Heffernan and Karen Brewer, rather. Lady racer in her first race in a V8. Row 8, John Trimble and Alan Jones. Starting way back there. He had tyre problems in the first race.
Queensland's Danny Osborne and Terry Finnegan, because Terry Finnegan's way back there. He did not start, of course. Mark Larkham will not start, and I don't think Ian Palmer will either. That was a really bad way to start the day for those two guys. So we'll have to wait and see if Terry Finnegan rolls up on the line. Yes, indeed he is. There he is, rear of grid in the Sony Commodore. He is just behind Alan Jones. The last couple of guys coming onto the grid. Mark Osler, if this is anything like race 1, we're in for a good one.
Yeah, very close, very competitive racing. It was a ripper between Bow and Seaton in that opening heat. Just couldn't quite get past, and that means that Bow now loses his pole position spot. He's over on the right-hand side of the track with Seaton moving to the #1 slot, so that'll be good for Glenn.
Well, Ingles' mechanics have been working overtime, fixing the clutch problem he had. A quick shot there of Peter Brock. He hasn't won a race here since 1983. Could this be his chance? He's going to have to do pretty well to get ahead of the Ford Credit Falcon of Glenn Seaton. We're away. Seaton gets away to another beautiful start ahead of John Bow. Gee, Seaton's good at starting. Brock looks like he's got the wood over Dick Johnson as they headed into the kink. No, he hasn't. Johnson comes back now. So the Shell Helix Falcon of Johnson's got the inside run. That's a good start by him. Murphy's on the inside. Then we go back to Ingle.
Glenn Seaton said he spent a whole day after the last touring car round just sitting out on the track practicing starts. He really murdered the transmission just to make sure he had a way of getting that car off the line cleanly.
Well,
and he's proving it here. Yeah. Huge advantage at Lakeside Raceway as Windscreens O'Brien takes us aboard. Peter Brock's 05 Commodore, as he's right in the heart of this battle behind his teammate Greg Murphy and the flying Fords at the front.
Well, remember race 1, John Bow almost did it. Can he get ahead of Glenn Seaton nice and early here and perhaps pull away or just hold him out for the entire race? Barry, it was a really good finish.
Yeah, I'm just looking now. You see Murphy's pulling away from Brock, and Murphy's a lot quicker at the beginning of this race than he was at the end of the last race. So it's, hopefully we're going to see some great stuff from the Murph.
Ingle tries an outside line there on Peter Brock. It was unsuccessful. They come down hard on the brakes into the carousel. Look at these top 4. You couldn't get them any closer.
What is it? Concertina City.
Here's Dick Johnson riding with the 52-year-old master for Queensland, back on home turf and thoroughly enjoying himself here today, building up to 225 kilometres an hour as they fly under the Dunlop Bridge and thunder down toward Hungry Corner. Seaton in control, Bow in second position, Johnson in third, and it's Murphy, Brock, Ingle, Perkins, Longhurst, Stephen Richards and John Faulkner in the top 10.
Well, if Glenn can hang on to this one, it would be his 5th win in a row. Unbelievable. He's almost won 50% of the races, 9 from 19 races this season. Seaton, this is his year.
Look how hard that car of John Bowes is working as he tries to get some advantage on Seaton. Pulls out of the draft, 250 kilometres an hour. Better look down the outside as they swing through this incredibly quick kick. You can see how hard the cars work as they bounce them off the ripple strip on the inside. Seaton feeling plenty of heat from car 18. Johnson in third. Murphy right up behind him, and wearing the Castrol Commodore.
I think you'll find that Bowie is going to try and stay as close as he can, really try hard to stay as close as he can to Seaton, because of the latter stages of the race, his car, you see the back end of Brocky's car smoking there.
This is the view, the Dunlop view from Russell Ingles' car, the Castrol Commodore. We're in the cockpit with him. Look at that freight train up ahead. Ingle couldn't get any closer to Peter Brock. Down off the eastern loop they come.
Just a few puffs of smoke from the right rear tyre of Brock's car. Could just be bodywork rubbing. That'll maybe work itself into a situation where it's not too much of a problem. Have to keep an eye on that as Seaton leads them down. Braking hard for the carousel once again. 250 kilometres an hour right down, back through the gears, and look how close Johnson is to his teammate Bow.
Well, that's an interesting word, Mark Osler, teammate, because Seaton's the only one out there at the moment without one. You've got the 2 Shell cars, the 2 Mobil cars, the 2 Castrol cars, all fighting out. They come down underneath the Dunlop Bridge, 225 kilometres per hour through here. There's our high shot. Your Shell Helix race score updating the placings for you. But it's the same old guy at the front, the Ford Credit Falcon, Glenn Seaton, who leads the way.
I'm just looking back there, Jonesy in 11th place. The tyre problems he had in the first race, he was saying it's not so much the problem with the tyres, it's the fact they can't get the geometry of the car sorted out so it works the tyres properly.
Hence that's wearing them out a lot quicker. This is the view from the rear of Russell Ingles' car. Perkins working hard, and have a look just in behind. It's Tony Longhurst. He had a great race in race number 1. He said it was so hard because he was watching the front and the rear. He said he was surrounded the entire race, but it was his best year of 97.
Tony's got a fabulous package, there's no doubt about it. Small team as we take onboard camera with Russell Ingall. Hard at work. The enforcer put up that incident with Mark Larkham in the opening race. Very aggressive, had a bit of clutch trouble, but he's right back on it. And you can see he's right in the heart of this battle too.
Well, Ingall shared 3 wins this year with Greg Murphy. 3 wins from 19. Here's an earlier incident. Darren Hossack and Kevin Heffernan. The wins car going off the circuit right to the outside and spins. He's going to come in contact with the tyre wall. Young Darren Hossack. Oh, it looks like he just pulled up short there. Here's another angle, the Shell Helix replay.
Yeah, I think he just got out a bit on the dirt and was braking late as he was turning in, and it just brought the background.
There, the gravel trap pulling him up. There he is. Just got a quick shot of young Darren Hossack there. Have a look how close these top... It's about to become your top 8 cars that are all within a car length of each other. This is fantastic racing. Through around this very fast part of the track, they come again. Bow and Johnson. Johnson looked like he was about to make a move on Bow.
No doubt it's the Formula 1 of Australian motorsport. Look how competitive this is. Top 10 cars covered by 0.6 of a second in qualifying. You just even blink your eye, take a breath, and you're back 6 positions. It's so tough out here.
I think if...
See how hard they're pushing, Barry.
Sorry, Mark, I was going to say, I think if Formula 1 was as popular as it was as close as this, they'd be more than happy.
The last time Dick Johnson won a round here at Lakeside was 1989. It's been a long time between drinks for Dick, and we ride with him now. The Shell Helix Falcon. The highest shot from the in-car camera up above the windscreen. There is his teammate John Bower just a little bit ahead, trying so hard to bridge that gap between he and Seaton. It appears as though it's pulled out a bit. It's around about half a second at the moment. Let's stay with Dick Johnson underneath the Dunlop Bridge.
Fabulous shot there of how hard the car's working. Shell Helix onboard camera shows Dick Johnson at the wheel. And he just looks so cool, calm and relaxed. Many decades of experience in this man. He makes it look so easy. But if you ever ride in one of these things, you realise how brutal and how tough they are to drive. Johnson, listen to the roar of this Ford small block V8 as he gives it everything onto the mud front straight.
Watch Bower's car through his left hand.
Great pictures there from Dick Johnson's in-car camera. If you would like to be sitting beside Dickie, well, stay tuned, because we've got a competition where we can put you right beside the 5-time Australian Touring Car champ. Stay tuned for more details. There's his windscreen's O'Brien profile. 3 times the winner of Bathurst, 5 times Shell Australian Touring Car champion, as I said. Twice winner of Sandown, and also the Eastern Creek 12-hour. This is how Dick's gone this year so far. 6th at Sandown, and the other positions there for you. So hasn't been the best of years, but he had his best round last time round at Eastern Creek, where he picked up a podium finish in 3rd.
Yeah, you see Seaton lapping just a fraction quicker now than John Bowe, and just when you have to wonder with Seaton, you know, whether he sort of plays himself in at the beginning of the race, if he can get a good gap, fair enough. But you get the feeling through watching him now that he'll just gradually put on the pressure now, which is a great way of doing it, you know, because it saves your tyres, it saves everything, more especially it saves your own energy. And we'll see in the next couple of laps, you know, the gap between them is 0.6 of a second, but it's visual, and we'll have to see if he pulls it out anymore. I got an idea, you see there, it's pretty quick for that left-hander.
Well, that was the critical thing. I was talking to John Bowe before the racing today, and he was saying, oh, up the inside, Russell Ingall continuing his run toward the front. He just snuck in front of Peter Brock, I think it was. Dunlop onboard camera, you're riding with him, Russell Ingall, a big aggressive charge toward the front. He's a real charger, this guy. Plenty of speed on board the Castrol Commodore, and he moves up to 5th position.
Still 2nd in the 97 Shell Australian Touring Car Championship. But the points difference between he and Glenn Seaton is starting to grow. That first race result, I think he was back in 8th position. That didn't help things.
This is going to be interesting when Ingall went and oh, Murphy, hang her out. If Ingall gets up with Murphy, I know there's not an awful lot of love lost between them two, so bearing in mind that's Longhurst there really on the hammer.
Longhurst starting to come right up on Larry Perkins as well. So the two Castrol cars, one a Commodore, one a Falcon, they're having a good battle. Have a look at them out of Hungary. They tend to get a little sideways as Larry starts to come up on Peter Brock now. On the inside, he's got the inside run on Peter, and he's got him. So Brocky just moves over a little, lets him through. He's got some problems, though.
Definitely problems, because a lap or so ago he started lapping slower, in actual fact 2 laps ago, so he's obviously suffering some sort of trouble.
Tony Longhurst just scooted through on the inside there too, so Brock's lost a lot of speed. He's looking at his lap times of 53.9 last time. Everyone else is running in the 52.01, 51 second bracket, so Brocky's got some problems. But Glenn Seaton, currently the fastest man on the track. I don't need to tell you that. A 51.89, fastest lap of the race so far. Look how hard Perkins is pushing it.
Going very well here at Lakeside. There is your Shell Helix race score for you. Glenn Seaton, John Bauer, Dick Johnson. The Shell Helix cars going extremely well. Murphy and Ingle, they make up your top 5. Stay tuned to your home of motorsport. We'll be back. Welcome back. You're watching race 2, round 7, the Shell Australian Touring Car Championship. Things are running hot. Have a look at this man. Tony Longhurst has just broken Glenn Seaton's 1995 lap record, so Longhurst is on fire.
Fastest man on the circuit, a 51.83, and boy, these guys are trading fastest laps by hundredths of a second. That's how tight it is. Seaton was quickest, then Longhurst knocked him off by a couple of hundredths of a second. So boy, oh boy, what a pressure cooker situation.
And Larry's right up behind Ingle now, so this should be real fun for Murphy if they both have a go.
Tony Longhurst needs to just pick it up a little bit more if he possibly can to tag onto the back. Oh, Larry out in the dirt again, so he is really working very hard. So too Russell Ingle to try and get past Greg Murphy, who sits nicely in 4th. It's still Seaton, Bowen and Johnson, your top 3. Into the carousel they come. And Ingle is very, very close to Murphy.
This will be a great result for Tony Longhurst. He's had a great car, good combination. He got Barry Seaton on board to build his engines. Coming into this season, very happy with the construction of the car. He's had tired runners, so it's good to see him on form back on home turf. We're riding with Russell Ingle as he tries to find a way past Greg Murphy, and boy, he's got his work cut out for him too. Look how fast these V8s are around here. They take up a lot of track. It's a very narrow layout. Finding a way past is very, very difficult.
I don't think Murphy's going to cut Russell any slack.
Keeping you in touch with top privateer, it's John Faulkner. And with his new Rob Benson engine in the machine, is sitting in 9th position behind Peter Brock and ahead of Alan Jones, Terry Finnegan, Ashby, Trimble, Heffernan. Karen Brewer is doing well, Hossack and Stephen Richards. I don't think it's either started this or he started, and he is run into some trouble because he's way back in 17.
Well, this lap record continues to tumble. John Bow now is just on a 51.66, so they're chopping and chopping away at it. This lap record has been broken lap after lap. Just shows how hard these guys are trying.
Yeah, you have to hand it to Seaton now. He's pulled out just over a second on John Bow. You have to feel that Seaton's got it under control. You know, I think he's just using it nice and gently, not giving his tyres too hard a time, and got to hand it to the guy.
Yeah, and he's worked very hard on the setup too, Barry. As you said earlier on, the car just rides the bump so well. Looks very comfortable race package. And John Bauer is saying even with the imbalance that they've had in the Shell cars, it's just not enough to close the gap to Seaton.
Well, that's the thing about it, Mark, that none of it's luck, is it? You know, at the end of the day, Seaton's where he is. He's done a lot of testing, and the Dick Johnson cars are up there now because they've been working on them, trying to get out that mid-court understeer.
There's your Shell Helix race score for you. Seaton, Bow, Johnson, Murphy, Ingle, and all of the gaps on your right-hand side. Perkins, Longhurst, we go all the way back. Karen Brewer is in 15th position. That's an outstanding effort for our young female driver, only 22 years of age. As we ride now, we're on board with Russell Ingle, the Dunlop in-car camera, and have a look how close he is to Greg Murphy. Pulls to the outside going into the eastern loop, then tucks back in behind Murph. This is good, close V8 supercar racing.
Oh, Seaton! Oh, no!
Well, it's never over till it's over, is it? When he start building that big lead, he was looking absolutely unbeatable here. And look at this, he's gone into the tyre wall.
Oh,
Lap 16 of 23. Right out in front, looked like he was doing it easily, but he's come off big time.
Well, if that would have been the last thing you would have put your money on, Mark, wouldn't it?
We were just about to say that he's going for his 5th straight win in a row, and there he is. Nose into the tyre wall.
Don't know what the situation was there. He may have tangled with the slower car, or whether he's had a mechanical failure. We're not sure at this stage, but he is absolutely shattered. Crowd showing their support, but Glenn Seaton, I know how serious he is, how committed, how determined he is to win this championship in '97. And he really was cruising. Now he's come off. Let's have a look at that in the Shell Helix replay. Let's see if we can pick up what happened to Glenn Seaton. He would have come through at that stage, so he's already come off. And there he is. So not quite sure.
It's hard to say there, because to get out as far as he's got out to the wall, it looks as if something went wrong prior to turning into the corner, because it's just too far. He's too sort of over to the left as far as hitting the tyres are concerned. It's your guess is as good as mine. It's just, I think there's more to it than meets the eye, put it that way.
Well, here is our now new race leader. Car 18, the Shell Helix Falcon. John Bowe has taken over the lead, and he's got quite a healthy gap back to his teammate Dick Johnson. So Seaton's bad luck, Bowe's fortune. I'm sure that he doesn't like winning this way, and he wouldn't like to win this way.
This will mean a lot to John Bowe, though, not only in the championship points chase, but also he hasn't won a heat this year. Just shows what a dogged determination this guy's got. He hasn't won a heat all year, but he's still up there third in points. So just by fact of consistency and sheer guts and determination, he's been holding on to the points. Now he's up in the winning position.
Mark, keep in mind too that JB has never won a round here at Lakeside in his Shell Australian Touring Car career. Second in the first race, first in this one, depending on how bad that damage is to Glenn Seaton's car. Have a look at Engel and Murphy. Good close racing continues. And Larry's right in there as well.
Well, times are pretty close. Bowles has done a 52.0, Johnson a 52.1, Murphy's done a 52.5, so he may be holding up this bunch. We don't know at this stage until the other guys get past, but there's quite a queue of cars building up behind the Mobile Commodore. We'll see if Engel can do anything about it. He's very, very quick coming out of Hungary each time, but he's on the outside. He's got no real estate to play with out there, so he has to tuck in behind Murphy and look for another run.
Just saw on your Shell Helix race score, Terry Finnegan up into the top 10 in the Sony Commodore. He'll be happy with that, but we stay inside the cockpit with Russell Engel. There he is, working very, very hard. In the Castrol Commodore, we have only 4 laps left to run through the kink, close to 240 kilometres per hour. There's Kevin Heffernan in the Price Attack Commodore off to the left there. Russell is working the back of Greg Murphy very hard, looking for a top 3 finish for himself.
And also, Greg's going to make himself difficult to pass, because he knows what the situation was with Russell and Mark Larkham last time. And the last thing that Russell wants to get involved with is another prang. So, you know, I would say that Greg, even though it looks hard for him, I don't think he's going to have too much trouble staying in front of Russell.
Well, it's just nice to see Greg Murphy in the Mobile HRT car finish a race and be out there and running consistent.
It's nice to see him start a race, the amount of transmission problems they've had.
Well, coming into this championship round 2, keep in mind it was Seaton in front, with Engel in second and Bowe in third. Now is Seaton out of this race, and that damage, we're not sure if he's going to be able to get back for heat 3. That could really change the championship situation as we come toward the final rounds.
The better electrical car of John Faulkner is really pressuring Peter Brock quite hard now. Mentioned earlier that he's got a new Rob Benson engine in it. Was running with the Wayne Smith built engines from Sydney. Switched to the Melbourne engine builder. We go inside the Mobile HRT 05 Commodore for the very last time here at Lakeside. Well, second last time, I should say. He's got one more race today.
Yeah, I'd say Brocky's sort of struggling with the setup on this car. He's doing sort of 53s, low 53s with the guys up ahead of him running the low 52 second bracket. So he's struggling for a bit of speed. And that's also allowing John Faulkner to close the gap to the factory Holden. And Faulkner's all over him. He may find a way past before this race is over.
John Faulkner suffering from a bout of the flu this weekend. He was very, very weak and sick yesterday. He seems to be a little bit healthier today.
Oh, dear me. Side by side through the left hand. Yeah, nice.
And you'll always find Peter Brock giving someone racing room in that situation.
Well, I think in this situation, Mike, there's no sense in Peter's obviously in some kind of problems. There's no sense in him holding Faulkner up, and you know, he's done the right thing.
You can see Faulkner there already start to pull away a little bit from Peter Brock. So John Faulkner up into 8th as we go straight up to the top end of the field. Here is our race leader, John Bowe. Was trailing Glenn Seaton for a lot of laps and has been handed the lead. And if everything goes all right for the next 1 lap, John Bowe will have a win here at round 7.
Well, this championship just gets better and better, doesn't it? I mean, it's a real misfortune for Glenn Seaton, and our thoughts go out to him. But what it's done is opened up the championship battle. John Bowe was just about convinced he didn't have the package to be able to take Seaton on fair and square. But now in this situation, it really allows him to get a good haul of points at Lakeside.
Well, there's been some hard luck stories here this weekend. Another one, too, is Paul Romano. when he went out in an earlier accident, an earlier practice session. And Romano was red hot here at Lakeside this weekend. He broke the lap record in the wet on Friday, and just had a little bit of an accident, sustained some damage to the car, too much to compete. So hard luck for Paul Romano, but it's looking very, very good for this guy here, coming out of the eastern loop, out of the right-hander, onto the main straight, and it is a win in race 2 for the Shell Helix team driver, John Bowe. He'll be happy with that. It's a 1-2, in fact, for the Shell Helix team. Dick Johnson in for second. Greg Murphy hung on for third, and he'll be happy about that.
Yeah, well, it's a great result for John Bowe. You have a grin from ear to ear, I think. His first heat win for the championship in 1997. That's a very important psychological barrier to break. And the car is just slowly getting better and better as they get toward the end of the championship. So he could be heading for a real cliffhanger.
Well, remember earlier in the year, Mark, when we were talking with the Shell team, they said, we know we're struggling now, but around about Eastern Creek, we're hoping to come good. And that's
right.
Exactly what they've done.
Yeah, and they're always looking forward to Lakeside too. The recent resurfacing of the track and the tyre testing they did with Dunlop earlier in the year showed them they had a dynamite package.
So it'll be interesting to see if Glenn Seaton can get back for race 3. We'll have to wait and see. Here is your top 5. John Bowe, Dick Johnson, Greg Murphy, Russell Ingall and Larry Perkins coming up for 4th and 5th. So the Castrol cars coming up quite nicely.
120 kilometers per hour in 30 seconds. The most exhilarating feeling in the world, especially when you're in the hands of Dick Johnson. If you have a need for speed, call the Shell Helix Racing Hotline on 0055 69030 now for a chance to win the ride of your life. Tell us the last 3 digits of the barcode from your Shell Helix pack, and you could be tearing around the track with Dick Johnson. There are 6 rides for 2 people to be won. Plus, win amazing instant prizes. 10 Shell Helix racing kits, including a team anorak, shirt and cap, valued at $255. There's also hundreds of team caps and Helix Racing polo shirts. So race out and buy any product from the Shell Helix range of engine oils and enter the competition you just can't miss. Imagine the thrill of being in the car while Dick Johnson's at the wheel. Call the Shell Helix Racing Hotline on 0055 69030. Have your Shell Helix barcode ready and you could be experiencing the ride of your life with Shell Helix and 10.
And there are our Shell Helix racing kit winners from right around Australia from our former Eastern Creek round. We've got more winners coming up after Lakeside today. Don't go away. We've got plenty more action coming from Lakeside International Raceway on Network 10, your home of motorsport.
Welcome back to Lakeside International Raceway. We're getting ready for race 3, and you're witnessing a piece of history. Peter Brock's farewell drive at the Lakeside circuit, and there's been plenty of support, plenty of signs around the circuit. Go get them, Brocky. There's been tremendous support for Peter, and they've really enjoyed it being here today. He hasn't had the best results, but nonetheless his supporters have still been here and having a great time. Here are the points after today's 2 races. John Bowe leads the way on 56. Dick Johnson, it's a Shell Helix 1-2. Greg Murphy sits in 3rd. Russell Ingall and Tony Longhurst, it's been his best outing of the year by far. We go back 6 through 10. Peter Brock, Larry Perkins, Glenn Seaton, John Faulkner. He is the best of the privateers, and it's good to see Trevor Ashby up there in the top 10. Well, we are getting ready, as I said, for race 3. The 2 Shell Helix cars rolling up. This has been their best for the year. Now keep in mind, these are the finishing positions of race 2. It's Bowe and Johnson off the first row. Row 2 is Murphy and Ingall.
Row 3 is Larry Perkins and Tony Longhurst. Row 4, John Faulkner and Peter Brock.
We move our way back. Row 5, it's Trevor Ashby, Terry Finnegan. 2 good results there from the second race for the privateers. John Trimble will be happy with that, and Kevin Heffernan.
Row 7 is Karen Brewer and Glenn Seaton, who's not there. Darren Hossack and Stephen Richards.
Karen Brewer, that's an improved position there. And Alan Jones has made a tyre change. He's gone outside his elected 6. And the ruling there is you must start rear of grid. Now keep in mind that Glenn Seaton is not here. He is missing from this 3rd and final race. So too much damage sustained in that second race. We're getting ready for a start. Green light, away we go. Let's see who gets the jump. Have a look at Ingall on the inside.
Oh, what about Murphy on the dirt?
It's all happened from the start there. Ingall got away to a great jump. We go on board with Dick Johnson here. There's Murphy on the inside. They had a bit of a tangle as well. Murphy's got the inside run.
Whoa!
Oh, you look at Greg Murphy, look across, they've all gone off into the kiddie litter. Goodness me. The most dramatic opening half a lap. Cars going everywhere. We'll try and recap what happened there. You could see Murphy looking across when he got the tap off the line. He was furious, and then it continued all the way down to the carousel.
Well, there's some pretty serious muscling going on there. Unbelievable stuff going into the first corner, even before the kink. So it's Russell Ingall who leads the way. Then we go back to John Bowe. There's Murphy a little further back. Faulkner's up there. So too is Ashby.
Russell Ingall really got the hammer down off that second row. Brilliant start from the Castrol. Number 8, and look at this big attack on the outside. We take Shell Helix replay. Dick Johnson right alongside Greg Murphy there as they head down toward the carousel.
This is under brakes going into the carousel. Watch there. Just about coming into contact there as they run very, very wide. Here it is from another angle. Keep your eyes on Murphy and Johnson. There it is there. Diving up the inside was Longhurst. Murphy's gone right off the circuit. So too Johnson. That allowed Brock through, Faulkner through, the whole field through, and Stevie Richards is into the gravel as well.
Well, you can see a big attack from John Bowe just before we cut to that replay, and he hasn't been able to find his way past Ingall. We're looking at the back of Russell Ingall's Commodore. John Bowe and the Shell 18 Ford climbing all over the back of the Castrol Commodore with Tony Longhurst. A great start from him in third position.
John Bowe, race 2. That was his first race win here at Lakeside since 1995. He was very happy about that. He'd like to do it again. He's going for the round when Murphy is in the pits. So it is all over. The day's finished early for Greg Murphy, and he would be furious.
Just the story of his championship, isn't it, Lee? He's had so much rotten luck. It just seems to haunt him race after race after race. He pulls out of another one. Look at Russell Ingall under plenty of fire from the Shell 18 Ford. John Bowe, he wants to win this thing. Tony Longhurst locked in behind the Shell Ford. Then Peter Brock on 0.5. His farewell drive at Lakeside up in 4th position. The first of the HRT cars, well, the only remaining HRT car.
Barry, Tony Longhurst said to me yesterday, he said, this car is set up good enough to win here. He said, I've made the right tyre selection. Yokohama have given me some good ones, and he's now running up in 3rd.
Well, he's not wrong, is he? You know, he's equally as competitive as this lot. It's interesting that the front 3 runners are all on Dunlop, so there's not going to be any tyre advantage there.
There's Russell Ingall's windscreens O'Brien profile, his career profile, and so far this year, see, he had a really good win at Winton and also Phillip Island. This is the view, the Dunlop view from the back of Ingall's car as Longhurst looks for a way past as well. This is really tight. Have a look at John Bowe come up now, really putting the pressure on Ingall. Through they come. Out of the carousel section, getting ready to come around underneath the Dunlop Bridge. Well, joining us in commentary now, Ford Credit Racing driver and championship points leader Glenn Seaton. Glenn, what happened in that last round?
Last race? Really, Lee, I come up out of Hungry Corner, which is just where Russell Ingall and John Bowe just come up out of there, and just got to the top of the hill here, and just had my foot caught underneath the brake pedal and just couldn't get it out. And once, by the time you actually got it out and put your foot on it, it was too late. The car ran wide and straight off into the tyres there.
And obviously too much damage sustained to come in this one.
It is really. It's bent the left-hand rail a bit and also the floor, but we'll be back. We're still got a little bit of a points lead at the moment, and there's still 3 rounds of the championship to go, so anything can happen. But what a sensational race this is here.
I have to say, Glenn, that is a very admirable admission. I mean, you could say I went for the brakes, they were a bit spongy, went straight on, but I've got to hand it to you. You know, it just shows that even Glenn Seaton is human after all.
Well, yeah, we all make mistakes, and it's just one of those things. But naturally, I'm going to be like a terrier dog for the rest of the series. I'm going to come back like gumbusters.
I think for me and for people who sit at home, think, well, wow, how can that happen? You know, your foot slips off the throttle, gets jammed on the brake. It's something that can happen, isn't it?
Well, it's amazing, Barry, because you don't realise how much you're on the edge until something like that happens. And really, you're driving these cars right to the limit everywhere. Like just for yesterday's qualifying to be 9 cars and a half a second difference between 1st and 9th. Just one flick of the switch,
yeah, it's incredible.
And it's all over. Like, it's just amazing. So these things do happen, like I say, but we'll be back. We'll be back for Western Australia, and one that I'm looking forward to because we've had great results here.
Well, Glenn, we've just been doing a bit of fiddling with the points, and it appears as though you can't lose your championship lead today. So how does that make you feel?
Well, probably one way it makes me feel good. Another way it's probably a little bit disappointing. But no, the car's been very competitive everywhere we've gone, and there's really no reason between now and the end of the championship why we're not going to be competitive. Oran Park is the final round, which will probably go down to the wire and after today's event. and that'll be great. And that has been a great hunting ground for me in the past.
And the two guys who are a threat to your championship are running first and second in this one. You probably didn't want to see that.
Well, I like the competition, to tell you the truth, and it's great to see the championship go down to the wire. That's what we're all here for. We're here for entertainment, and this will be an entertainment package right to the end.
Great sporting comment, I have to say, really.
Well, we get back to it, and Russell Ingall still leads away from John Bow. Longhurst remains in third. He is going really well. Peter Brock in fourth, Larry Perkins back in fifth, and Faulkner is up to sixth. We're working their way around. This one remains to be a close one. Well, Glenn Seaton, thank you very much for coming in. Thanks for your time, mate. And we look forward to seeing you at Wanner at Barbagallo.
Yeah, thank you very much, and I'll be there with all guns blazing.
And getting your own back. Thanks a lot, mate.
Here is the Tony Longhurst Windscreens O'Brien profile, his history, and then this year so far, fifth at Sandown, ninth. It's been a mixed year for Tony Longhurst. This one, in front of his home crowd, has been the best by far, and he's sitting here and he's looking for his first podium finish for the 97 season.
Well, it couldn't have happened in a better place when you think about it, exactly as you're saying, he's in front of his home crowd. And you've got to say that Longhurst is a really good, fast driver. You know, he just hasn't had the luck to get everything together. And by now, the package, you've got to say, his thing is well on the boil, isn't it? It's lapping just a fraction slower than England, John Bow.
This will be very encouraging for the Yokohama teams as well, because Tony has been struggling with tyres throughout the year, trying to get the package the way he wants it and the tyre product that he wants. But if these Yokohamas are proving this consistent this late in the day, that's a good sign for the future.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. You know, it's oh, Murph, poor old Murph, Murphy's Law.
Well, in that one shot, that encapsulates his 1997 season. It's been an absolute shocker.
Mark, just getting back to Longhurst, you're talking about the tyre durability, and he's coming good at the end of the season. That looks good for the Australian 1000 Classic on October 18-19.
Yeah, people in the know say that he will have a very strong package up at Mount Panorama as he had there last year, so expect some fireworks from the Castrol Ford in the Australian 1000 Classic on October 19.
The Enforcer leads the way, and he's been involved in some pretty hot and sticky situations this year so far. But I tell you what, there's still plenty of supporters for Russell Ingall here at Lakeside today. Plenty of people hanging over the fence and waving their arms and saying, "Go, Russell, go." John Bow is making him work for it, though. Still sitting nicely in second spot. Back to Longhurst. Then we pick up Brock, who's doing well in fourth. Perkins, Faulkner, Jones, Johnson, Ashby and Finnegan. They're your top 10.
Good John Bow sitting in behind there too.
Well, here's your Shell Helix race score for you. They're setting some pretty quick times around the Lakeside circuit, and we'll be back with the end of race 3. Race 3 of round 7 here at Lakeside International Raceway continues. The order hasn't changed. It's still Russell Ingall who leads from John Bow and Tony Longhurst. There's the picture of your top 3. This is the shot, the Dunlop in-car camera on the back of Russell Ingall's car. John Bow just looking for a way through.
It's just a shame that Tony Longhurst can't make up that little bit of ground on John Bow, because I feel that if Tony could get up the backside of John Bow, that would really push John into making absolutely finding holes with their arm holes to get past Russell Ingall.
Well, I'll make a bit of a guess here. If Bow remains there, he should still take it behind round.
Yes!
Well, talk about applying pressure. You can't get any closer than that without touching John Bow. Letting Russell Ingall know he's dead serious about winning this race. You can't get closer than that. Ingall flicking out the back of the Castrol Commodore as he leads them down under the Dunlop Bridge. 225 kilometres an hour, braking hard for Hungry Corner. Tremendous battle this. And if one makes the slightest mistake, guy behind will be taking advantage.
Oh,
Mike Conway.
somebody off on the dial there.
Yeah, Mike Conway in trouble back there. He's had a bit of a spin, the privateer, but not in the way of this leading bunch.
Last year here at Lakeside, John Bow finished third overall for the day behind Alan Jones and Craig Lowndes, who got the clean sweep. He could go from third to first today. If we go back, Perkins is sitting back there behind Brock. There's John Faulkner. He's doing well. He's got himself up ahead of Dick Johnson. So Faulkner running in 6th position in the better electrical car, the top privateer. There is Dick Johnson. Back in 7th position. Jones has worked his way up into 8th from rear of grid. That's a credible effort from Alan Jones. Ashby and Finnegan, they round out your top 10.
Alan's had a few problems with tyres today, running on the Bridgestone rubber, and just can't quite get the setup right on the car so it doesn't burn up the tyres. Shell Helix onboard camera with Dick Johnson as he continues his charge through the field after getting caught up in that first corner accident with Greg Murphy.
The shot that I like, Mark, is when you go through this right-hander into the fast left-hand kink. If we stay with this and just watch. Oh, we've got a lot of sun in the face now. But just watch Faulkner. Oh, he's not going to have a go here, is he? You see that? That is, when you realise how quick that is and how much the car moves, it's quite... Oh!
Right up
hello.
alongside. Hello, hello, knocking on the door. Dick Johnson. Little tap to let him know he was there. And then a nice clean run through the inside. Faulkner had no answer for that. Johnson absolutely steamrolled his way through on the inside, and he's really on fire at Lakeside today.
Well, Dick Johnson letting John Faulkner know that he's got more equity in this track than what John Faulkner has. He's done a lot of laps around the Lakeside circuit as Dick Johnson, so he moves up. Here is the John Faulkner Windscreens O'Brien profile. First in round 6 of the Shell Privateers Cup in 96. NASCAR Rookie of the Year in 94. He's got some impressive results there. Here's how he's been going this year. You can see there, 4 top 10 results at Sandown, Simmons, Winton and Eastern Creek. This has been his best year. It's only his 2nd year in the Shell Australian Touring Car Championship. He's been driving for a long time, though. A lot of years in the various classes of touring cars. This is his 2nd year in the Shell Australian Touring Car category in the V8 Supercar format.
Well, Dick Johnson will be really hungry to keep that momentum going. He's got Larry Perkins ahead of him, and he has to finish 5th. If Ingle wins this race, Johnson has to finish 5th to take 2nd on the day behind his teammate. And I know how much Dick would love to be on the podium this afternoon.
Well, speaking of privateers, we go back to 10th place. This is Terry Finnegan. The view from the Sony Commodore. He didn't start race 1. He had a bit of bad luck there, but he's been going all right in race 2, and he's sitting in the top 10 in race 3. So Terry Finnegan's coming good towards the end of the season as well. I'd probably say this would be his best year in the Shell Australian Touring Car Championship. There's Terry hard at work.
I was just looking on the front windscreen. You can see the heated front windscreen. I think that is something that has been so overdue in touring cars for many, many years. I wonder why they haven't done it.
See his lap speed there, just under 240 kilometres an hour. As he comes through the sweeper there, that is an incredible amount of speed, particularly how narrow the track is and the lack of runoff if you get it wrong. Finnegan really attacking the course. Up in the top 10, as Lee said, does a great job. The Sony Auto Sound Commodore, we saw him as top privateer at Eastern Creek 3 weeks ago. Recently switched over to Rob Benson engines. Benson supplying a lot of the privateers now in the V8 Supercar category. And Terry getting a lot of speed out of the car. Currently just outside the top 10. Doing a great job.
Well, speaking of moving forward, that's what the man in front of him is doing. Stevie Richards, where he went off the track with Greg Murphy at the same time out into the gravel. He's worked his way up into 9th position in the Valvoline Cummins entry as we look at the Mobile HRT car of Peter Brock and Larry Perkins sitting in behind him. Larry gets it sideways out of the carousel. Hang on to it, Larry. Getting all out of shape there. He's chasing Peter Brock hard. This is the battle.
You see Peter Brock's car, he's still he's getting smoke from the inside left tyre. I don't know whether that's just because of down on the pressure of the body down on it, but he may have had some panel damage because you saw that coming off the left front.
Well, as any Queenslanders watching this, it's a bit of history, folks. The last time you're going to see Peter Brock, the master, driving on the fast Brisbane Lakeside Raceway. What an unbelievable career this man has had. And winds down toward Bathurst. The Australian 1000 Classic on October 19. It's going to be one hell of a year.
We move from Brisbane to Western Australia in a couple of weeks' time. And for all of our West Australia viewers, if you're interested in grandstand seating at Barbagallo, you're best off calling the West Australian Sporting Car Club in Subiaco for pre-booked seating, and that'll get you the best views of the circuit. So give them a call once again, the Western Australia Sporting Car Club in Subiaco, to arrange your grandstand seating, and the pre-booked tickets are the way to go.
Peter Brock currently in 4th position. Here's our leading trio. Russell Engel still in command from John Bowe. Hasn't been able to make a move on the Castrol driver. Headlights ablaze as he comes up towards slower traffic to make sure he's there. Gives the best indication that he's coming up behind. John Bowe in 2nd position. Tony Longhurst hasn't been able to get past the Shell 18 Ford. And there's a bit of a gap back to the battle. 4th, 5th and 6th position. That's Brock, Perkins and Johnson.
Well, we've just had confirmation from our statistician, Nigel Greenway, that if Bowe sits here, he will still win this round. So he doesn't have to do anything silly. Just maintain that 2nd spot and he'll be right. He will win his 1st round ever at Lakeside.
It's just typical of John's terrier-like persistence. He really just digs in for the battle and just squeezes results out of a situation you wouldn't expect him to. And that's what takes a champion driver. He's won championships in just about every category of motorsport, and he really wants a second title in 97.
Ingle hasn't had a bad day either. He had that hiccup in the first race, that confrontation with Mark Markham. He lost his clutch in that first race, fought back in the second one, and now he's away to a very aggressive start, and he's led the whole way.
We're heading for one heck of a championship finish, aren't we, guys? I mean, you think how determined Bow and Russell Ingle are to close the gap to Seaton and take the fight right up. These final 3 rounds are going to be absolutely sensational.
Well, that's great. You know, you have to really say thank you to Glenn Seaton. I mean, he's really put some life into the championship. And as you say, you know, it's going to be interesting. But if you had to stick your money on anybody besides Seaton, you'd say Bow. You know, as you say, you know, he's been there and just sort of creeping up. He hasn't won, but you know, he's Mr. Consistency, isn't he?
Well, at the end of the day, it will be interesting when we take a look at those championship points to see just how close it will be between Glenn Seaton, Russell Ingle and John Bow. Don't discount Larry Perkins either, because he got those points back from Sandown when he was excluded from the results of the second race, so he's not out of the picture either. Maybe a bit too far away for the championship, but maybe for a podium finish in the championship. Longhurst is still running hot as well.
2 laps to go, 238 kilometres an hour for John Bow and the Shell 18 Ford. And that's a good indication of how well the privateers are running. Terry Finnegan doing exactly the same speed through the sweep of that time around. Everything's starting to get a little bit tired now. The tyres have done 3 races virtually. Drivers may be getting a little weary. So they really have to battle through these final laps. John Bow just trying to close the gap to Russell Ingle, but Ingle maintaining that gap. 1.2 seconds the last time over the start-finish line. He's done a 52.1, Bow a 52.2. Russell Ingle has the fastest lap of the race so far, a 51.89, but no one's down in that territory now.
The guys just working their way past John Trimble and his return drive to the Shell Australian Touring Car Championship in the Bottle Magic entry. Now, we've just been given a piece of paper here. Positions remain as is. Seaton will lead the championship by 8 points over Ingle, who will then have a 14-point buffer over Bow. So it is really closed up considerably. We were talking this morning, Barry, about 30s and 40s and 50s. Now it's really closed up.
Yeah, I was just looking at Longhurst. I thought Longhurst was going to try and have a go at JB. I mean, that would be a very, very brave move.
Last lap, as we take Dunlop onboard camera. Russell Ingle, he's only got a quarter of a lap left. He's pretty determined. He's not going to lose this position. He's a real fighter, Russell Ingle. Fought his way back from that clutch drama in the opening heat. And he's coming up trumps here today.
Ever since he's been named the enforcer, he's been in more drama than ever before.
Down onto the main straight comes Russell Ingle. The checkered flag comes out, and he takes out race 3 here today at Lakeside. And look at that, yes, the clenched fist. He is very, very happy. He knew he needed that, and he is ecstatic. Good on you, Russell Ingle. A good win there. The 3rd and final race here at Lakeside. John Bow in for second. Tony Longhurst, his first podium finish of the year. He'll be delighted with those efforts. And Peter Brock, in his last drive, there he is, the king of the road. He finished in 4th position. Here are the final placings for you. The Shell Helix race score. Ingle, Bow, Longhurst, as we said, Brock. Larry Perkins hung in there for a top 5 finish.
Yeah, Dick Johnson in 6th, John Faulkner, Alan Jones didn't have a great day for him by his standards, Stephen Richards and Terry Finnegan.
Well, it's been an enjoyable day here at Lakeside in sunny Queensland. We'll be back after this to wrap things up.
Well, happy scenes down here on the grid at Lakeside Raceway after some fabulous V8 supercar action in the critical round of the Shell Australian Touring Car Championship. Our #1 privateer today, getting back to that old form, John Faulkner, well done.
Thanks, Mark. It is a great honour to win the Privateers Cup here in front of my sponsors, Better Electrical and Fisher & Paykel. It's their home state. We put on a great race for the guys, and a tribute to Bridgestone Tyres. They kept me hanging on the front of the lead bunch this time. We're getting there ever so close through each meeting.
Well done, and a very impressive performance. 3rd place today, and put your hands together for him, folks. The enforcer, Russell Ingle. Oh, they love you up here, mate. There was a real struggle after that clutch problem in the first race. You really fought your way back.
Yeah, real lucky we made it out to that first race when the clutch was gone, but thought the crew did a great job to get it out in the second race. Thanks to everyone. Thanks to great spectators around here, and thanks to Castro and all the boys for getting me back out for that second race.
Well done, Russell. Good fighting finish. In second position today, and I'm sure the Queenslanders will love this, Dick Johnson. Everyone loves the Queenslander, even Queenslanders themselves. That was a great result. This is 2 races on the trot. You've ended up on the podium. Well done.
Well, I suppose things have got to change sooner or later, but, you know, I made a bit of a shocker of a start in that last race, and I'd just like to say thanks to the guys and certainly to Shell and to Ford. What a great car Ford is. Have a look at that. 1-2. And to all our other people, Massport and them, thanks very much.
Well done, Dick Johnson. At this point, I'd like to call on Ross Brody, Motorsport Manager for Shell, to make the presentation to our overall winner today, John Bowe. Well done, John. You're saying you're a bit worried about how competitive the car was going to be, but you couldn't have got a better result than this at this point of the championship.
No, it's great to win, and it's a credit to the guys in the Shell Helix team. But my commiserations go to Glenn Seaton. I mean, he was driving superbly, and I hate to see that sort of thing happen. And I know he'll be back, and he'll give this championship a big shake. But my thanks to Shell and the Ford Motor Company and Dunlop. Of course, the tyres were supreme today.
Well done, John Bowe. The big winner at Lakeside Raceway this afternoon, Lee Diffie. This championship looks like it's going right down to the wire.
Mark, it certainly is. Let's have a look at the unofficial championship points for you. Glenn Seaton is still in front, as we said earlier. Russell Ingall closes the gap. John Bowe still in third. Perkins up to fourth. And Brocky rounds out the top 5, so it's getting very, very interesting. Well, we've had great weather, great racing, a huge crowd here today at Lakeside. Barry, you couldn't ask for a better day.
Well, the championship is really hot now. Roll on Western Australia, that's all I can say.
Yeah, roll on Western Australia. Plenty more motor racing action coming up for you on Network 10. All the action from Barbagallo in Western Australia coming to you on Saturday, the 12th of July, between 3 and 5 p.m. So don't miss that. That is round 8. We've only got 3 rounds to go. As always, RPM, Sundays 2 to 3 p.m, hosted by Billy Woods, and you can also join our own Barry Sheen. So make sure you catch up with that. And don't forget the Australian 1000 Classic. It's going to be Brocky's last one on the 18th and 19th of October. It is going to be a fantastic weekend. On behalf of Mark Oates and Barry Sheen, I'm Lee Diffie. We look forward to your company next time.